Morning, everyone. Thanks for joining live and for those joining on the recording. We're going to start with a few things with the breath, a little orienting to the space we're in. We'll do a little short blurb on the floor. There's going to be an option for some things standing. This whole practice can be done on the floor, so it's totally up to you for where your energy levels are. That's going to be the main guiding principle of today, is to listen into your own system, like what does my body need? What does my body want, moment to moment to moment? And how can I give that to my body? So the breath I want to start with is going to go like this. It's going to be a long, slow inhale. I'm going to do a long, slow inhale. And then when I'm about 80 to 90% full, I'm going to do a second, sharper type inhale. I'm going to hold my breath for a few moments and then let out a sigh. So I'm going to say all that again. You can start doing it together. Once you know the pattern, do it on your own rhythm. So long, slow inhale. When you're 80 to 90% full, sharp inhale, hold for a few moments, and then let out a sigh on the exhale. We'll do that a few times. Long, slow inhale. Feel free to make the throat breathing Ujjayi breath. Oh. A few more. As you breathe, notice if any sort of spontaneous movement or stretch starts to happen in your body, and allow that to happen. Ah. As you continue to breathe, letting your eyes go where they want to go. So taking a moment to, even if you've been in your room a million times before, starting to just look around, a little bit of gratitude for the place we get to practice today, noticing where your eyes are naturally drawn to. My eyes are always drawn like to look out the window at the trees, and there's some plants in the window here. There's some artwork over here. And yeah, just a quick like orienting, like no matter what is going on in my life or in the world, right now, right here, there's safety. And so as we kind of scan the room a little bit, it's telling our systems that in this moment, everything is okay. So gratitude for the space we're in, gratitude for the lands that we are on. And one more little nervous system thing I want to do before we get into some more specific movement things. I've been working with a nervous system practitioner trained in Hakomi, amongst other things. And this is a simple basic exercise that I found to be really helpful. And interlace your fingers. You can put them behind your head, and you can be laying down, seated, standing, whatever. And just taking a moment to look straight ahead and sort of feel the support, feel the comfort of having your head held. And then keeping your head still, your eyes are going to go to the 3 o'clock. So then go towards the right. Doesn't need to be anything extreme, something comfortable that you're going to lock your eyes on. Head staying still. And see if you can listen in for any signs of down regulation. So maybe it's a sigh, an exhale, some relaxation of the tissues. And then when you feel complete, look towards the center again, still keeping the head still. And then we're going to do the same thing, but this time going to the left or towards the 9 o'clock, the visual field. The visual clock is in this plane. So I'm going about 45 degrees towards my left. Yeah, and I notice a sigh and sort of like a dropping a layer of tension in my musculature, my fascia. So you can do that just one time. You can repeat that, but as for something as simple, it's utilizing the same um, neurology principles as EMDR and these lateral eye fields. I think it's a much more gentle way to do it, just the single looking to the side. All right. So let's meet on the ground, laying on our back. From here, just start to notice the breath. Notice the natural expansion of the torso, and that's happening in 360 degrees. So as you inhale, maybe you feel more of your ribs and lower back and your kidneys melting into the floor. There's no need to change the breath right now, but if you want to slow down the breath or slow down the exhales, that's always welcome. One thing I'm going to recommend throughout this practice is the impulse to yawn, and sometimes sort of faking a yawn until the kind of a real yawn catches. But let's just take a long, slow inhale through the mouth and start to enact a yawn. And maybe letting out a sigh on the exhale. We'll start to yawn with the full body. So I'm going to bring a nice, long, slow inhale through the mouth, and I'm going to start to really reach my hands and feet away from each other. As I yawn, maybe at the top of the yawn, I hold my breath for a moment and tense my muscles, and then relax and let that go. And just notice if the body wants to start to take different shapes. So as I inhale, I'm going to notice this expansion of my system. And I imagine like I just rolled out of bed, really comfy bed on a really good night's sleep. And that natural, like full body yawn stretch, fancy words of pandiculation. Ah, maybe rolling to the side. You can roll face down. Just taking a little moment to explore this expansion, contraction, long, slow inhales, letting out a sigh, letting out a yawn. I can tense my muscles, relax them. But knocking over my lights here. Mm. And so, like I said at the beginning, one nickname I have for this somatic practice, inspired by peer mentor Dare from Animus Arts. They use the term sea creature dance. So this starting off like starfish position, becoming a sea sponge, the simple like tube, this oscillating rhythmic expansion contraction. And then it starts to evolve into more of like an octopus-like quality. So I love the octopus imagery because all of my tentacles, all of my limbs can be working together. And at any point, one limb, one tentacle can, it has its own brain, it can have its own little adventure, its own movement before the whole system comes back together. This is going to be the baseline practice. In a moment, we're going to go towards standing. So I'm going to show a couple options for those who don't want to stand. We'll do those together here. So first option is going to be about shaking out the legs. I'm going to bring my knees up roughly to 90 degrees and simply just shaking out the legs side to side as I'm moving the legs, trying to relax the muscles as much as possible, sort of feeling the calves and thighs sort of flop around on the bones. So when the foot, ankle flop around. And if I want, I could add in my wrists to this. So as we do some standing shaking, there are nice, gentle ways to shake on the ground. Another favorite one is to bring the legs more up. Knees can be slightly bent or straight. And then it's a kicking motion. So my toes towards the nose, heels towards the ceiling. And if I do it quick, it becomes this tremor, it's the shaking motion. And I think that feels nice on the calves and the backs of the hamstrings. So we do a lot of standing shaking because it's nice to have some things where the legs aren't bearing weight. And I can shake them here, and I can bend the knees and shake them side to side and go back and forth. One more thing I like to do to mix into this position is to trace circles with the feet. And so as I'm tracing circles with the feet, it's actually the rotation of the femur in the hip that is doing the work and getting mobilized, changing direction. And then also just simply rolling out the ankles. So somatics 101. I'm thinking about bringing energy down in my body, down to the diaphragm, to the belly, to the legs, hips, feet. When energy is down in the body, it's less trapped in the heart, chest, and in the head. So we experience a lot more anxiety when energy gets stuck up here. So a lot of what we're doing is trying to bring energy down into the lower body. So you have those options. The last one I'll give today before we have the standing option is a simple rocking pattern. So with my knees here, hands can be wherever's most comfortable. I like to place them on the lower belly. And a simple pushing from the feet, rocking motion up and down. The kind of frequency is up to you. I've been doing a lot of these rocking patterns lately and just found them to be very soothing and regulating for the nervous system. From the very beginning of being human, we were regulated by being rocked as babies. So we can simulate these motions with different shaking, different rocking patterns. So you have those options if you want to stay on the ground. Remember, this is your time. Do what feels best for you. If you want to do something a little bit different, we're going to come to standing. From standing, I'm going to just take a moment to lean forward and pour some weight into the toes. And then lean back, weight into the heels. A couple times with this simple weight shift. And then centering somewhere right in the middle on the ball of the foot. Softness in the knees. Feeling a string suspend your spine, so a string from the top of your head going up. So there's this elongation of the spine without any extra tension. From there, you're going to find a nice soft shake, nice soft bounce. I recommend that type of vocalizing. So I take an inhale and I let the shake help exhale with some sort of breath sound vocalization. So keep the breath going. I'll occasionally vocalize as a reminder to do that. As we vocalize and use the voice, all this sighing and yawning is a way to activate the vagus nerve, the parasympathetic nervous system. So this up and down vertical shake is going to be our home base for the next 5 minutes or so. And if you have the impulse for a different movement or a different type of shake, remember that's the goal of this practice is to listen for that. So for example, I have this vertical shake and I feel a little like something in my neck and upper spine. So add in a little bit of spine movement. And I come back to home base. As I'm continuing to breathe, noticing, ooh, maybe there's a little tension in my arms, forearms, so I give them a little extra shake. There are moments where the shake can become less predictable and a little bit more like spontaneous, like the energy of fire, like unpredictable where it's going to go. Can be a nice way to shake up the energy a little bit. I can always come back to up, down, vertical shake. See how much you can relax your eyes and relax your vision. So how much of your room or the environment you're in can you bring in at the same time? One way to do this is to take fingers and sort of slowly bring them out to the side and notice I can still see them here. Maybe you move your fingers. I can still see them here. And if I can see my fingers here, I can really, it's more panoramic vision. So I have this wide gaze looking out on a landscape. That is another function of the parasympathetic nervous system. When we're stressed, vision goes very tunnel narrow. So do the opposite with our visual field. Continuing to shake, continuing to relax the body even as we're shaking it. So as I breathe into my belly and breathe into my legs, how can I relax that part? Can I relax my chest and my shoulders? Can you sense your scapula, shoulder blades bouncing up and down on your rib cage? I'm feeling the very start of a smile in the corners of the mouth. Imagine you can breathe through all of your skin. You can breathe in oxygen through every pore. There's this expansion on the inhale. And all of your skin exhales together, sinking, stabilizing towards the earth. So we have skin breathing, string suspending top of the head, consistently dropping more layers of tension, listening for spontaneous movements to come out. And imagine you can sense all of your joints like they're flowers blooming in spring. Openness, open, available. Breathing through the skin, letting out a sigh, wide, diffuse gaze. Another minute, minute and a half here. Last thing I'll add on, optional little visualization, is to imagine your body as a tree or a mountain. So a tree or mountain are going to have very similar somatic effects, meaning whether it's the base of the mountain or the roots of the tree, there's this wide, stable base that goes down and out, base of the mountain, down and out, roots of the tree. So if you're a mountain, you can feel that stability directly connected into the earth. If you're a tree, you can feel the roots extending through your legs, through your feet, deep into the earth. And whether it's the branches and leaves of a tree or the very tip of the mountain, there's lightness at the top. More heaviness, density, energy down below, literally grounded towards the ground, centered, true center, belly, hara, lower dantian. Every culture has a name for true center of the body. Count from 10 to 0. You can let this slowly fade out over the count. Or if you're feeling a little more energy, you can kind of build it up to a peak during this, which is what I'm going to model. So starting to pick up the intensity a little bit, just for 10, 9, letting the breath go, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, full intensity shake, that's where you're at, 2, 1, and freeze, pause where you are, drop any extra tension, and soften the eyes, feeling the string suspending your head up towards the sky, dropping tension towards the earth, relaxed abdomen, relaxed hips, start of a smile in the corners of the mouth, breathing through all of your skin, joints opening like flowers blooming. Ah. A little heat in my hands here. I'm going to be very thorough with the skin today. I just want to do a quick brushing massage moment. So starting with my torso, this can be light, can be a little bit more heavy if you want. Simply waking up the skin and connecting back to the sense of gratitude for this miracle we call the body, all of the infinitely complex things each one of your cells is doing. Amazing one cell ever works, much less trillions of them working together. Going to the legs, the arms. If you have any tight spots, injury spots that you want to give a little extra attention to, please do that. Good. And then just a few brushes from top all the way to the bottom. We're being really thorough. We would do more like squeezing, more percussion stuff, but we're going to get back to the floor pretty shortly here. So I just wanted to introduce with mixed movement arts, these are our foundational practices of shaking, skin stimulation, different movements of the spine, and then this somatic sea creature dance floor practice we're going to get back to. One last thing I want to do before that is a few elastic bounces. So I'm going to come into a nice high lunge here. And I'm going to try to open up this hip flexor area. So trying to imagine I'm stretching it out like a trampoline. And just finding a soft little bounce into that hip flexor. It's a place where we can hold a lot of stress and tension. Having a little elastic bounce can be really nice for the hips. Changing sides. Finding that openness stretch first, and then soft little dynamic pulses into the area. And the other one we're going to do is for the chest. So, stressed modern life really causes us to kind of return back to the fetal position, whether it's driving or computers, everything is sort of shrinking us. So things that do the opposite tend to be good. So this opening the hip, now we're going to open the chest pec area. Movement's going to look like this. And I'm not just going straight back and out. Imagine there's little strings tied to your fingers. So as you're going, the strings get pulled and there's this expansion. So again, I want to lengthen the tissue first and then a soft bounce. So very, very gentle, especially if you've never done this before. Finding this little rocking pattern where I feel this tissue elasticity. You don't need to go all the way to the end range of motion to feel it. The more I reach my hands away from each other, the more I can feel that bounce. I've been showing this with my palms facing forward, my thumbs up. Play with some different positions of the hands, so maybe thumbs down, palms back. palms towards the sky, palms towards the earth. So as we change the rotation of the hand, we're getting different aspects of this three-dimensional structure. I think it's really nice to reverse some of that hunched over we get to help change up the breathing. All right, and take your knuckles to the size of the ribs. Give your ribs a little scrub. Again, opening up the breath. Good. Let's go back into the floor now. For those who joined late, I was saying at the beginning, if you want anything like a foam roller, a cross ball, or tennis ball to roll around on, that's going to be an option. So we're going to go into our last about 15-minute practice here. Everything I say is an invitation. So I'll be giving some ideas and guidance along the way, and listen for your own impulses, follow your intuition. If something finds really interesting that's totally different than what I'm doing, great, do that for yourself. So back to the ground, returning to the breath. Perhaps I notice that my body feels different than it did 30 minutes ago when we started. And I'm going to start with a very small version of the practice. So as I inhale, I'm going to let my palms and my feet slightly open up on the inhale, and then soften, close, relax on the exhale. So palms, feet, fingers, toes open on the inhale. Everything softens on the exhale. Let's take a few moments to find some full body yawns and pandiculation. So taking this expansion and contraction and going back to really exaggerating it, bringing the fingers and toes away from each other. So again, I take a nice long, slow inhale, enacting a yawn, and I let my body naturally take some sort of shape that feels good, finding some stretch sensations. At the top of the inhale, I can hold my breath and tense my muscles, a little tension, relaxation. Take a shape. Add some tension to the muscles, making fists, curling the toes, and then letting everything go. All those cues we did shaking can still apply. You can feel the start of a smile, breathing, sensing all of my skin. And we'll do a quick little intro to the helix roll, which has been one of my favorite rolls lately. It's this nice, like, wringing out a wet towel sensation in the spine. I'll show what it looks like first, and then I'll get a few little cues for it. Spread the feet, roll up the spine, switch the arms. So what's happening here is I'm bending the knees. I'm going to slide. If I'm going towards my left, I take my left foot and slide it underneath this little window for my right foot. Then I reach my 2 feet to the opposite corners. As I reach those feet, that brings this rotation all the way up through my spine and puts me face down. And let's just go there and then reverse. So I'm going to take my hand on top, reach it back from where I just came from, finding the twist. So really trying to feel how this travels from the feet into the hips, lower back, mid back, upper back, until it flips me on my belly. If I want to complete the roll, I switch which hand is on top. And now my hand that's on top, I'm gonna again reach both hands in opposite directions. And this hand drags my spine back face up again. Sort of like rolling over through this spinal twist. And for this class, the technique is definitely not important. The idea is to use this as a jumping off point to find some rolling around on the floor that feels good, feels nourishing. Noticing as you roll, there's this compression of the tissues. And so between your bones and the floor, this little like massage that happens as you roll around on the floor. And so whether it's using this helix roll spiral or any of the other infinite ways I can roll from my back to my belly to my back again, recommendation is just to find a little rhythm here, going back and forth and trying to do so in the most enjoyable way possible. So that might be continuing to have that sort of yawning pandiculation sensation, stretch. I find different places of like self-massage. Like I like to put my forearm into my other forearm. Massage, rooting it into the ground. So when you find something that feels good, inviting you to really linger there and see if you can enjoy yourself even just 1% more. How can you register 1% more enjoyment or deriving some pleasure from the movement? So I'm going to just kind of list and go through another handful of tools, and I'll leave some open time for you to explore at the end. We have about 10 minutes left. So one thing to think of are positions that you already know or already do. So let's take like a simple yoga-like position of the cat-cow. And so what I would do from here with like this sort of somatic application is to be in a position and then as I start to move my spine, I'm not just trying to do like cat cow back and forth. I'm getting curious about what angles, what sort of movements does my body in particular want right now. And so from this position, some cat cow feels nice, but so does trying to find some circles in the spine, circles in the shoulders, scapula, sitting back into the hips, finding some rotation, compression in the hips. And of course, if I want to explore beyond that and like free up a limb, just staying curious, zero concern about how this looks, all about how this feels in your body. So how can I keep finding enjoyable positions here? So that was just an example. I could do the same type of exploration from something that might look like a downward dog as a base, or even more gentle, might be something more like a child's pose. I like to rock my hips side to side. So I find a position, and then how many little variations can I find? Subtle movements of the spine, shoulders, hips, wrists, ankles. And I'll invite you to, as you're doing, wherever you're at in your movement, is to become curious about all of the muscles in your face. We have like 72 different muscles from the neck up. So yawning gets at this a little bit, but sticking out the tongue, squeezing the face closed, translating the jaw side to side. I think of this as like embracing your inner Jim Carrey, all the different faces. So the eyes can move, close, open. If you want, it can become like a jaw or face massage. But we forget about the face all the time in movement. So giving all these muscles some tension, we store a lot of tension in the face. So it's one of the benefits of the yawning, but we can add to it by continuing to find movement in the face. Mm. So the base of expansion and contraction, I'm going to recommend having either a breath sound or a sigh or a vocalization on the exhale. So something as simple as a, again, that sighing and the vocalizing helps stimulate the vagus nerve. If you have some privacy right now, or if you just aren't shy, you can really kind of go wild with the vocalizing, just taking an inhale and then letting out whatever sound comes out on the exhale. So yeah, feeling free to like exaggerate the sound without trying to control it too much, and just notice that different ways of breathing, different movements that you're doing will produce different sounds to come out. So I think we have plenty of tools right now. Stretch sensations, so pushing the ground. So I can also go for more like strength type sensations. We have different elastic sensations, different ways to bounce, shaking, the imagery of becoming some sort of like hybridized sea creature. The starfish turned into the sea sponge, which turned into the octopus, all this different underwater imagery that we can draw from. So taking these last 5 minutes, you have full permission to move exactly how you want to move. If your body wants to be still and more restful, it's always an option as well. Maybe it's self-massage, maybe it's rolling around on your foam roller, or your lacrosse ball. So that's the skill we'll practice now, and that I'll recommend continuing to take with you of how do we listen in to our system, what our system wants and needs, how do we give it to it with movement and sound. I'm gonna stop talking for a few minutes here, and I'll lead us out at the end. Feel free to keep doing what you're doing. Start to close out the recording here. And of course, encouraging you to stay in your practice if that's where you're at. Yes, practice is really special to me. I learned it in, I think, 2021 and got me through a lot of hard times. And I had a really good time the first time that I did it. And when my teacher said, do it for 30 minutes a day for 30 days straight, that's when I really noticed so much more benefit, like having a deeper relationship with the practice. So last week I actually started another round of that, doing a 30-30 practice with this. I'm going to be posting some more information about resources for that and be hosting some more of these things in person and online coming up. I think we need more of it in this culture to have some movement that can be low intensity, that's designed for you to really develop a relationship with yourself, knowing how to give your system exactly what it wants and needs moment to moment. A very important skill. So thank you all so much for joining this morning. And yeah, send any questions my way. Wishing you all best day possible and I hope to move with you again soon.